Hello, welcome back. I am doing some fun projects today. They've been on my list of things to do for quite some time, and I just haven't been able to get around to it. I want to start growing some greens inside so that I have food ready to harvest anytime I want. I do spend quite a bit of money at the grocery store for organic greens, and that is something that I want to try to cut down. And I have a lot of seeds that I've been saving, and so today we are going to plant some vegetables. I have on the list a veggie confetti. It's a little microgreen mix. I also have kale, which I can harvest as baby kale, or I can let it grow and it'll get a little bit bigger. Indoors, I think it won't get as big as an outdoor plant, but who knows? I could transplant it a few times and we'll see how it goes. Also, I have a bistro blend of lettuce, and this is also nice. I can harvest most of this from the microgreen stage into the adult plant. Some fun wintertime indoor gardening. I also picked up this indigo apple tomato from one of the little fairs I went to. There was a gardening extension office kind of thing, and they had a bunch of free seeds, so I grabbed some of these, and I'm going to see if I can make these grow inside. Although it does say on the package that you should keep it in optimal soil. Temperature for germination is 75 to 85 degrees, which is quite hot, but I guess the soil retains heat, so I'm going to put it over in front of the wood stove, which I think will hopefully make it grow big. Anyway, this is a long process, so it could work out or not. I don't really know all that much about gardening, other than every time I ask a gardener, they say just put it in the ground and let it grow. I have done quite a bit of research on gardening, just watching YouTube videos. There's a lot of gardeners out there, which is cool. There's a lot of information. I've read a bunch of articles. I've talked to gardeners in person, and what I've gleaned from all of this wealth of knowledge in the world is that plants want to grow. So put them in the ground, or put them in a pot and see what happens. I mean, there's all kinds of technical things that you can get into, but I'm just going to do it the easy way, which is what I've figured out. And I'm going to put some soil in some pots, put some seeds over it, and then instead of making little holes or divots where the seeds go so many inches or quarter inches apart, I have done away with that. I've grown a few things and been really happy with my progress. I grew some squash, cucumbers, some beans. Everything came up. I wasn't really picky about how I did it. I just put some seeds in the ground, and voila, I had food. So that was a really cool experiment, and it just made me feel really comfortable about it. And I hope that this video helps you feel more comfortable that anybody can grow anything. I mean, if it doesn't grow, oh well, just keep trying and see how far you go. I will leave some maybe updates as my greens start to grow. I think a little bit of an update here and there. Every 2 weeks I can sow the greens from a lot of these plants. So I'll either replant. There's also a thinning process. You know, when you plant too many seeds close together, then you've got to thin the plants, but you can eat them. So, or you can transplant them to another pot, and then you can grow that even bigger. So today I'm going to start with the veggie confetti mix, and I have these nice long little water catchers for pots, and I bought it as a set. It came with 3 little pots that fit in the middle, and on the bottom of these pots there's a little hole for the water to go through so that there is some drainage. A couple of years ago I did greens in these, and they did good. So you just have to be a little more careful about overwatering them. So this is going to be the first one, and I'm going to just fill it with some soil, and I've packed this down quite good. And then I'm going to sprinkle some seeds over the top of this veggie confetti mix, just so that I can see that there are some seeds right on top of the soil. It's going to be hard for you to be able to see this part, but this is a nice mix. It's got some radish, it's got some various greens. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. So I've just sprinkled evenly over the top, and I'm going to take a little bit of loose soil. Oh my gosh, there's turkeys outside right on my lawn. Let me just, oh, I can't turn the, oh my gosh. They're hungry. They're gonna come up on my yard, or on my deck. I have some frozen pumpkins up there. Oh, maybe they won't come up. Anyway, I hope that caught a few of them. That was kind of cool. I do live a little bit out in the middle of nowhere compared to, you know, my normal city life. I live in a small town in northern Maine, north of Bangor, and it's a small community, but it's kind of cool. Right out my window, the turkeys, although they are a little, they're not the smartest of the bird species, but they are around. I do see them, but this is the first time I've seen them in my yard, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's move on. I have the confetti mix here, and I'm just going to sprinkle some soil over the top. Okay, so I've just put a nice little layer of soil right on the top of the seeds, and I'm going to pat it down. Now, I did have a little bit of a complication, and my soil was frozen this morning, so I had to bring it in and put it by the wood stove to kind of thaw out. So prep for this project was a little longer than I anticipated. Okay, so the next one I'm also going to do in these long pots, and that's going to be the kale. And I'm just going to take the seeds, spread them around nice and thin. And like I said, you can transplant the little, like when there's if a little bunch grows together, you can thin them out. You just very nicely pull them out, and they should come up pretty good, especially in something like this. And then you can transplant them to another pot, or you can just throw it on top of your salad. It's pretty nice that way. All right, so that has enough seeds, and I'll also just do the same thing with a little bit of soil right on top. Okay, and I'm just patting this down, and then I'm going to, after I get everything pat down, then I'll give it a little bit of water. But I've devised this cute little system of a hanging plant garden in this nice, I have this nice area with a mirror in my kitchen, and I think it captures quite a bit of light, but it stays nice and cool. And all of these greens are going to want to stay nice and cool, which is great because there are a lot of chilly little spots in my house. So I'm just going to be able to hang these, and I'll also be able to see the progress all the time. I mean, I'm in the kitchen. It's the throughway to get to the bedroom, so I'm in there at least a few times a day, and I cook. So I think it's nice to keep the plants where you can see them and notice them, and you pay attention to what's going on a little bit more. I also set some reminders on my calendar on my phone for a 2-week interval, so I can harvest all the greens and replant every 2 weeks, or every 2 weeks I can sow a new crop. Whether I've eaten everything up to that point or not, but that way I'll have a continuous harvest. So these are going to, okay. So on those little, on the little trays that I just hung up here, I just took some framing wire and I coiled it around each of the handles on the sides, and then just made a little bit of a loop, and it's hanging on a thumbtack. So pretty simple. idea. I didn't have to spend a lot of money. I think that when I bought those little trays, I spent like $4 or $5 on them, and I've used them in multiple ways. I do really like the hanging aspect of this particular project because I think it looks nice, and you just take them down, water them, change out the soil, all that kind of stuff. It just is a pretty easy project to keep up, and also multi-purpose. I can use it for a lot of different things. Okay, so the next one is going to be my bistro lettuce blend here, and I'm going to put that in one of these pots, and we're gonna just do the same thing. I'm gonna sprinkle around the seeds, and there are a lot in here because I want a lot of greens, and then I'll just thin them out as well. So I'm also gonna leave that there for just one moment. And I have, I've been storing and keeping these green containers. I buy microgreens or salad greens and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like they need a little more purpose in life. And so I am saving them all to use for potting plants. I've also spray painted them black so that when they're outside the sun doesn't get to the root system, but inside I think it'll be fine for this particular project. Also, they come with a lid, and that makes a little bit of a greenhouse effect, so when I first plant seeds I can put the top on, and that will also help. It creates a warm environment, greenhouse effect. Yeah, so plants grow a little bit more vigorously. So I'm reusing every single one of these that I've bought over the course of, the last few years. And I use them for multiple things. I put my compost in here, and it has the cover that closes it, so that keeps smell, and sometimes gnats come around with compost, and so that keeps the gnats out. I just really try to get the most use out of a product that contains plastic, and then I can recycle it at some point. But that way I've had 10 or 15 uses for it, and it starts to tear and break and things like that, and then at that point I can recycle it. So I'm also gonna do the lettuce bistro mix in here, and I'm just gonna sprinkle this evenly through this container. All right, I think that should do it. And then I'll put a little bit of soil on top of both of these. The next one is going to be this little indigo apple tomato, and I think that it is a beautiful heirloom variety. They are just spectacular colors, and the flavor profile on this one just hits all the notes you want on a really good tomato. So I am super excited to see how this one turns out, and I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've given me about 8 seeds, so I think I'm gonna try to plant. I'm gonna plant 5 of them around, and I'm just gonna space them. And if they start to sprout, then I may transplant some more. So I'm just doing 4 around the outside and 1 right in the middle, and then I'm going to cover that with some soil as well. So we have planted 3 varieties of greens and 1 tomato plant for today. I will leave some updates so that you can see how my garden is growing. Also, please subscribe, hit the like button. If you have any questions, please comment, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Also, it is a little varied. I'm cooking, I'm planting, I'm doing some handy projects, but I have a lot of things that I'm interested in, and I like to do projects. I like to keep busy doing fun, creative kinds of things. So I hope you enjoy visiting the channel and finding some different kinds of topics. Please let me know if you have any questions and leave those in the comments below. Again, thanks for spending a little time with me today, and we'll see you again next time on Callie's Life.